everyone and welcome back to my channel, and if you are new here then hello and welcome. My name's Alexis and today I want to talk to you all about my 10 favourite cookery books. As I just mentioned, today I want to talk to you all about my 10 favourite cookery books. So for those of you that don't know, I love to cook. I really enjoy cooking and I really enjoy spending time in my kitchen. And most of the time I like to invent my own recipes and I like to think of things that we would like to eat and things I would like to make as well. But occasionally I do refer to recipe books and I do enjoy reading a recipe book as well. And I thought that this would be an interesting video because I'm sure a lot of people out there are getting their recipe books out and cooking a lot more as we are all at home and stuck in quarantine. And if you are, please let me know in the comments below which recipe books are your favourites and what recipes you're cooking at the moment, because I'd love to know. But for now, I thought I'd share with you my top 10 favourite recipe books. Before I start as well, I just want to say it's probably not the best place to film a recipe book video, but we are all stuck in the house at the moment and this is the only place I can get peace and quiet. So I think from now on for a little while my sit down videos will all be in our bedroom basically, because it's lovely and quiet in here and the rest of the house is quite noisy at the moment. So yes, so the first cookery book, or number 10 I would say, is this Bill Granger book, and it's called Simply Bill, and it's a really nice recipe book. Bill Granger, for those of you who don't know, is an Australian cook, and I think I first saw him on a programme like Ready Steady Cook, or there's a morning programme that my dad used to love watching, Saturday Morning Kitchen. My dad would always watch that and I think he was first introduced to me on that, and I think that I actually bought this book, or it was here. No, I think Howard had this book when I first moved in, and there are some really lovely recipes in here, some really nice family recipes, family meals, and there's some really lovely things to do with children as well, and I use one recipe in here. I know that sounds really silly, but there's one recipe that I absolutely love in here, and it's a dill and lemon potato salad, and it is really nice. The dill really sets off the potato salad, it gives it such a lot of flavour and it's so nice to eat. So yes, this is my number 10, Simply Bill by Bill Granger. So the next recipe book I really enjoy using is this one, and this is a book by Harry Eastwood and it is Red Velvet Chocolate Heartache, and it's basically a biscuits and cakes book, and these biscuits and cakes are really yummy in here. And the thing I love about this book is it doesn't tend to use gluten, so it doesn't tend to use things like flour, it uses brown rice flour instead, and she makes some really lovely cakes in here. I've made a Victoria sponge from this book. I think I've made I made a steamed pudding from this book at Christmas, which was really yummy as well, and I made a Swiss roll as well. I have looked at the other recipes and they have inspired me to make other things as well, but yes, I thought this was a really nice cookbook, especially as I'm hearing in the news that a lot more people are staying home and baking with their children as well, and they're making a lot of cakes and biscuits. I thought this one would be a good one. If there's anybody out there who may have children with gluten intolerances, then this is a great book for you, I think. And if I can find it, I will link it in the description box below for you. And then the next book I really enjoy using and have really enjoyed reading as well is this Slow Cooker Magic, and it's by Lorna Lorna Brash. Again, if I can find it, I'll link it in the description box below for you, but it's got some really lovely slow cooker recipes in here. It includes things like starters and mains and desserts as well, so it shows you some really nice slow cooker desserts. I can't think of any at the moment that I've made from here. I think there have been one or two that I have made, but it did give me a lot of inspiration for my own slow cooker recipes as well. And I've really enjoyed, as I said, just reading this book and looking at the pictures, because everything looks so yummy in it, as you can see. This is a really good book if you have just bought a slow cooker as well and want some inspiration for slow cookers. I have a blog as well, which I will link in the description box below, Googie's Kitchen Life, and that has a lot of slow cooker recipes on it as well. But as I said, this is a great book if you need some inspiration because you've just bought a slow cooker. And then the next two books that I wanted to show you were books that I used when I first gave up sugar and processed food. So the first book I bought was I Quit Sugar by Sarah Wilson, and this is a really handy book if you want to give up processed foods and sugars. It gives you lots of recipe ideas, and there's lots of handy hints as how to do it, and the same with Davina Sugar-Free as well. Davina does, so they're both a bit different. Sarah tends to stick to quite a rigid diet, whereas Davina has a lot more diverse recipes in it. So depending on your body type and what you're looking and interested in making, depends on which one of these you would buy. I have made recipes from both of these books and I have liked both of them. However, Sarah's is a lot more fat orientated. It's good fat, don't get me wrong, it's healthy fat, but unfortunately my body type doesn't really enjoy the recipes in here as much as my brain and mouth enjoys them. My body tends to put on a bit of weight when I do Sarah Wilson, but Davina was a bit better. There were a few recipes in here that I really enjoyed using and really enjoyed eating and didn't make me gain too much weight either. I have polycystic ovaries, so I do tend to have to be careful when it comes to food. Even though I'd love it and I'd love to eat all day long probably, I still do have to be careful because I tend to put on weight very easily. But yes, these two were brilliant books to start my journey on my sugar-free journey basically. So I'd highly recommend these if you are thinking of giving up sugar and processed foods. So the next cooking books I want to show you are by a couple of guys called the Hairy Diocese, or the Hairy Bikers basically. If you live in the UK and you watch the BBC, you'll know these two. They do a lot of programmes on the BBC, or they used to, and they probably about 6 or 7 years ago, they both went on diets because they realised they were getting a bit overweight. And these books these are the results of their diet. They wrote these books. They are very handy books to have. But they are about cutting calories, and I'm not so sure about cutting calories anymore, but I have to say, if you do want to do that sort of thing, these were really helpful for Howard and I, and we did use a lot of recipes. We also went on a calorie cutting diet as well just before we gave birth to Ted because we wanted to lose a bit of weight. So yeah, so these were really handy when we went on that diet, and there were some really delicious recipes in here. I think there's a lasagna in here and they use courgettes instead of lasagna sheets. There's a really nice chili recipe in these as well, and there's some really handy hints and tips if you do want to go on a restricted calorie diet. Personally nowadays I've lost the weight. I lost over 2 stone on the diet, and yeah, personally now I don't think that was probably the best thing to do, but I did it and I've lost the weight and I'm quite happy with my body now. But yeah, I love these books and I love the recipes in them, but please be careful if you are going to go on a calorie restrictive diet. It can be, you know, make sure you go and see a healthcare professional before you decide to do something like that, I think, personally, really. So yes, but if I can find these books, I will link them in the description box below for you. And then at number 5 is this home baking book. This is a really lovely book. My mum bought me this book when I moved out of home, bless her. I think I started making cakes for a church that she goes to. So they have a thing called Teas in the Tower. It's like a charity event. They have it once a month on a Sunday, or they did. And it's to raise money to keep the tower, so to help with the maintenance of the tower basically in the church. And she bought me this book to try and get me to bake more cakes and recipes for that event because people were really enjoying them. So yes, it was a bit of a sneaky one. Mum always buys me recipe books because I think she thinks she's going to get more food that way. But anyway, yes, but this is a really lovely book and I'm really pleased she bought this. I think she got this from the Reader's Digest, so it was probably free as well, but never mind. It's called Homemade Baking and it's by Catherine Atkins, Valerie Barrett and Gail Wagman, and I will link it in the description box below for you. I've made quite a lot of recipes from this book in the past, and they are quite delicious as well. I've made macaroons. Oh, I made a rocky road cake from this as well. This is a gluten book, so before I discovered my gluten intolerance, obviously I was eating more gluten back then, so I could eat from this book. But yeah, this is a really lovely book, and also this is a great book to have if you have children, because it will give you a lot of inspirations for recipes as well. So again, if I can find it, I'll link it in the description box below for you. So the next book that I've really loved using in the past is this pie book. This basically gives you directions on how to make the pastry and different pies to make with different pastries as well. I used to use it a lot. I used to use the short crust recipe in this book, and it is really, some of the pies in here are really yummy. I think I've made a chicken pie in this book, and I've made a steak pie as well. And as I said, it gives you the recipes for the pastries as well. So it shows you how to make short crust pastry, all sorts of different pastries, and it's a really yummy book. It has some lovely recipes in it. And yeah, I just really enjoyed using it when I could eat gluten, and I thought it'd be a good one for people who are at home now maybe and want to make their own pastry. This is a great book to have to hand. So again, if I can find it, I will link it in the description box below for you. So the next two books that I've really enjoyed using in the past are these Deliciously Ella books. Now Deliciously Ella is a really big company in the UK. They make a lot of baby food and toddler foods, so they make things like pouches with vegetables in, and they make biscuits and cakes and crisps and stuff that you can buy in packets, and they're fairly healthy as well. Obviously they have, I don't think they have too much refined sugar in them, but they're meant to be like a healthy baby alternative, and they also have produced these books, and in these books have really great kid recipes. So I did use these when Ted was a baby, and they had some really lovely recipes in here. So I think I've used this one probably more than I've used this one, and in this one they have like main meal recipes mostly. So there was a fish finger recipe in here. There was a spaghetti bolognese recipe as well. There was a prawn recipe, so a prawn stir fry recipe, which Ted really loved eating as well. And there were a lot of different recipes that I tried on Ted when he was a toddler and a baby. We still do have some recipes from these books as well, so they were well worth the investment. We bought them from Sainsbury's. As you can see, the price is there, but if I can find them, I will link them in the description box below for you. So at number 2 is Deliciously Ella, and my mum bought me this book one year for Christmas. I think my mum had discovered that I was making more vegan food during the week, so being my mum, she wanted to encourage me to make even more vegan food, so she bought me this book, which I thought was really lovely of her. And it's a really nice book. It's got some really quick, simple and easy recipes in it. They're all vegan, there's no meat, no cheese in it, but you can add meat and cheese to some of the recipes. She does say that in the book. If you want to add chicken, then you can. So yeah, it's got some really lovely ideas in here, and it actually inspired me to start writing my own blog, Googie's Kitchen Life, as well. So I'm really pleased, as I said, that my mum bought me this book for Christmas. And yeah, I just really enjoy it, and I still use some of the recipes in here today as well, and I still have a flick through through every so often to see if anything inspires me. I have had some inspiration from this book as well, so again, a really good present and a really good book if you're at home and you want to start maybe eating a bit healthier and maybe a few more vegan recipes, then this is a great one to have. And then finally, a faithful old favourite of ours, Jamie Oliver. What would we do without dear old Jamie Oliver? This book my mum bought me when I was at university. That's how old it is, and it is a bit battered and a bit worn, but it is a well used and well loved book, I have to say. Yes, my mum bought it for me. She discovered again that I'd started cooking more at university, so obviously she wants to encourage me to do that. My mother doesn't actually cook, she just likes to encourage other people to do it. In case she ever needs a free meal, she knows where to come then, you see. So yes, she bought me this book. And as I said, I used it a lot at uni, and I've used it a lot over the years that I've had it as well. There are some really lovely recipes in here. It's really simple and easy to use. Explain things in only the way Jamie can explain things, to be honest with you. It's got some funny words in here like pucker and grub and things like that, but it is a very good book, I have to say. And we have most of the Jamie Oliver books downstairs. We have a big pile of them. I think we've got about 4 or 5. I'm not sure how many he's written, but we definitely have a lot of his books, and we do enjoy using them as well. We do tend to look at them if we need inspiration for meals and things. So yes, love this book, and again, if I can find it, I will link it in the description box below for you. So that was my top 10 favourite cookery books, and those books, as I mentioned, I will link in the description box below for you. But for now, that's it from me. Thank you so much for watching. Please feel free to give me a big thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and please feel free to leave any comments below, and please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. See you all soon. Bye.